like that there is a waiting. Oh, here we go, recording. Looks like there's a waiting room. So I'm going to try and disable that if I can. Or Kathy, are you just going to be manning and watching the waiting room and just letting people in? All right, I'll take that as a yes. So thanks everyone for joining. This will be very much so an update, kind of an update session of letting you know what's new inside of Canvas, what's new to the environment, what are some features that you may or may not be aware of, and then obviously introducing a couple other tools within the Canvas and Instructure ecosystem. So by way of introduction, just real quick, I am filling in for my colleague, Jamie Dominy. So I do apologize if you came here to hear from Jamie and interact with her. She's a little under the weather today, so I'm filling in for her. But I've been with the company. My name's Casey Nuttall. I'm a regional director for our Mastery and Elevate product lines. I've been with the company for about 8 years. So I know a little bit about the company. And so I should be a good resource to letting you all in on what's the updates here with Canvas, but then also some of the other tools. And so that's what we're talking about here with our session agenda today, is we'll focus on Canvas updates, specifically Canvas for Elementary and Studio and some other functionality within Canvas, and then introducing and talking a little bit about some of the other tools that are part of the Instructure family of companies. And so just real quick, Instructure, I'm sure you've probably heard this on other meetings. Instructure is the parent company to Canvas. So Canvas was our flagship product, right? That was the product that launched first. It was the only product that we had for a little while. But when the founders created Canvas, they were creating an LMS that was meant to be an open source, that was unlike any other LMS system and tool that was out there, because their whole goal and initiative was to really support the whole learner and to provide tools and resources that were best of breed to educators, that they could leverage whatever tools that they needed to and be able to provide that type of a resource to educators to be able to leverage those in one place instead of having to go all over the place to leverage those tools and contents. Now, when they did that, they didn't really realize, I think, all the other facets that impact our student learning. And that's why we have these, really there's 6 pillars now that encompass the Instructure learning platform. Is the learning management is the kind of the cornerstone that got us started, but they realized that in order to really facilitate and to really buoy up the teaching and learning process, there was other things that needed to be offered to our users, which namely assessment and content, online programs, analytic tools and solutions, and professional development to really support those best practices. And so that's what rounds out the Instructure learning platform. So we'll start off with some Canvas LMS updates. Now, some of these may or may not be known by you all. We do try to get these out in our monthly newsletters and things like that go out. Something tells me you all are a little busy and might not be sitting there waiting for our newsletters. So we want to make sure that all these are communicated to you. So first and foremost, account level calendars. This was a big one that back in the day, or just until recently, in order to have access to a district level or a school level calendar, you had to be enrolled in a specific course or class. That is no longer the case. Now, districts, schools can create their own calendars and share those calendars with individuals that are not enrolled in a particular course or a particular subject. So now you can have a district-wide access to the calendar and not have a course enrollment tied to it. So that's been a big little update. And then let's move on. Sorry, I keep getting this thing popped up telling me people there. Accessibility checker indicator. So this is another big one. So part of the rich content editor within Canvas allows you to employ certain accommodations and accessibility features. Before a couple weeks ago or a few months ago, you had to know which accommodations you needed in order to facilitate that accessibility for that content that you're having engaged. And now, as you'll see here on this slide, now we've embedded a call out to any functionality or any part of the content that does not match up with that accessibility that you're looking to have. And so it will have that little red bubble there calling out, hey, you've got 35 errors that do not match up with this accessibility. So you need to review those if you want to continue to use that accessibility feature. And so no longer do you have to manually go through that process and check it one by one. The system will automatically check that and call those out for you to go and update that. That's part of the same. Oh, here's the icon maker. I'm sorry, kind of got lost here. So now part of the rich content editor as well, especially a good feature for those littles, right? For K2 is the ability to create icons or to create images that can be clickable and can be accessible to kids. It's part of our rich content editor here. As you'll see here, there's a little button that can be clicked. And then you can actually create those icons straight inside the rich content editor. No more do you need to go and create an icon or a badge somewhere else and then import that or copy and paste that into Canvas. That is now part of the Canvas experience internally with the rich content editor. And you're able to create any badge that you want, any customized type of icon that can be used in any section, any place within your Canvas account, whether it be on your pages or inside your modules or inside specific coursework. It just makes it so that you can have a more image-driven navigation instead of just words and text. And so this just a couple of examples of what that looks like when that's employed. Also, as part of the submissions and the comments, you can now use emojis, which is kind of funny. I didn't think that this was going to be a big thing, but it's been a big ask. And so we've now enabled and allowed emojis to be part of that experience. Obviously, we've gone through and we've eliminated and taken out some of maybe those off-color types of emojis or offensive types of emojis. You do at the district level or even at the school level have the ability to further filter those emojis out to what you want to do. But now you can have that as part of your comments when you're leaving comments either to students or students to you can leave those emojis as part of that. And this just shows how you can block emojis and select why. Then speed grader reassignment. This has been a big ask for people as well, is when a student has submitted a material for review, it used to be where you had to kind of clone that material and reissue that as a new assignment. Now you have the ability to reassign that assignment with using the speed grader functionality. So if a student's not quite done with that material, you want to provide some feedback and some targeted approach to them and have them be able to go and revamp their response, you can quickly reassign that assignment to them or to a group of students with the click of a button. And then this is one that kind of comes into play quite a bit too, is a comment library as part of the speed grader. As an educator, you probably find yourself when you're providing feedback to students, either saying the same kind of comment or starting off a comment in the same way. So in order to save time, we've allowed these comments to be contributed to a library, which is accessible by this little dialog box right above the comment section, that you can save comments to then be able to use those as either starters or full-blown comments. If you just want to say, hey, great work, good job, whatever it is, you can access that comment there, saving yourself some time in typing that out and sending that to the students. And then immersive reader. This has been part of Canvas for a while. It used to only work and function within the pages aspect of Canvas. Now immersive reader is applicable and can be used on pages, assignments, the course homepage, and even the syllabus. And so now you can still leverage the immersive reader in all, gosh, I think it's over 220 languages to be able to read out what the content is saying on any of these sources within inside Canvas. And so if you want more information on any of these functionalities, we're going to be sending out all the links and the news articles about this functionality as well. So this will go in more detail with that. And then before we switch to Canvas for Elementary, anybody have a question or anything? I see chats. Haven't been doing a really good job. Oh, okay, cool. Nice. If anybody has a question and you can unmute, don't hesitate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If I want to tell the child to go back and retake an assessment, like they haven't met the standard, where would I do that? I'm fairly new to Canvas. So would I go into the comments section? Like if they, is that where I would go and do that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So it really depends on the material that they're engaging with. It sounds like it might be a quiz, right, that you've issued them. And by completing that quiz, they haven't displayed the appropriate level of mastery or proficiency that you would like. You can reissue that quiz. You can, when you're setting up that quiz as an assignment, you can set up how many attempts are allowed. And so typically that's what you would use when you want them to be able to retake that material. If you want to reissue a different set of material, still addressing that same outcome or that same standard, it would just be a different assignment that you assign to that student. And then you would assign it either to them specifically and then send a message to them, or you could assign it to a group of kids that were in the same levels. There's a lot of customability with that or how you want to do it. So I would absolutely refer to kind of those pedagogical best practices that have been set up for you and what you should do. But yeah, we can definitely help find what the best way and route to do it for you is.
I know how to do that, but I'm
Okay.
wondering where I send them a message. Instead of me having to directly tell them, I want to send them a message because, they see that they got a 50% and they're okay with that. And I'm like, no, that's not okay. So how do I tell them, go back and take your second attempt? Do I do that in that comment section?
Yep. So that would be inside that comment section. Beautiful. Good question. Now, Canvas for elementary, this has been a big driver as of late, ever since the pandemic hit. Getting and forcing those littles to be on learning management systems really brought to light a lot of functionality that we needed to update inside of Canvas to be a better experience for them. And what I failed to mention in my introduction is I live in Utah. I'm your stereotypical Utahn. I've got 5 kids. And when the time the pandemic hit, I had a 4th grader and a 2nd grader, and then a pre-K student who's now in kindergarten. And I've firsthand understood and was engaged with these kind of struggles of what elementary access looked like. And so it's come leaps and bounds from what it was. So let's get into some of these updates here. So first and foremost, unlike a traditional setup of Canvas, the Canvas for elementary will organize the material by subjects instead of by courses. So now the students are choosing tiles that align with math or ELA or science or however you have those organized, like you see here on the home screen. And then obviously you can change the images and change the verbiage to what you want it to look like. But you'll also notice that the font is changed as well. The font is that font that's a little bit more supportive of those early readers. It's appropriate letters, appropriate font of those letters as they're learning those letters and those words. Now, also part of that is the today or the schedule. Instead of just looking at their homeroom, they can click on the schedule tab of the Canvas for Littles, and now they'll be able to see, organized by day, all the pieces of work that they're expected to engage with during that day. They'll also be able to see any of the missing items that might be missing for them. And then if they are doing asynchronous type of learning or synchronous learning with teachers, maybe they're a little bit more remote and they're not able to be on site, you can now join the synchronous learning experience straight from the coursework. There's no need to have to go navigate away from the course or navigate away from the subject. Inside their schedule in the today link, it will have the start times, and with the click of a button, they can join that experience. So then Canvas Studio. If you're not familiar with Canvas Studio is the video functionality within Canvas, being able to record and display video messages to students, have that video be part of comments and part of feedback directed to the students, have videos be part of your homepage or even inside your pages and part of your modules to help direct students where they need to go. It's also gives students the functionality to record and submit video submissions as well to you. And so we've got a couple different updates here with with Studio, first of all, which is a Zoom integration. So now you can actually have any Zoom meetings or any Zoom calls or Zoom recordings that you may have been doing within your district or in your school or classroom can automatically save to the studio experience so that students can access that within Canvas and within Studio and be able to utilize the Studio functionality when it comes to embedding questions or embedding comments on those videos. It will automatically have that functionality if you enable the save Zoom recordings to your Studio library. So that's a big plus there. And then I think this might be the last one. Maybe we've got a couple more, but we used to only be able to support YouTube video links within Studio and being able to upload YouTube. Now we also support Vimeo. So you can use and paste video links from Vimeo into your Studio for accessibility there. And then the media insights. This is different because this is an update and it's been out again just a little bit. But if you haven't had need to engage with this, then you haven't really known what it is. But now you can see and export the analytics related to the videos or Studio videos that you have embedded into your course or into your course framework there. And so you're able to see unique views and number of plays and different analytics when it comes to who watched the videos, how long they watched the videos, how engaged they were. Here's a little bit more in-depth view of that, or a bigger view so you can see this. But it gives you all the access to those analytics that were in the back end and you couldn't really ever access. Now you can access those. You can even export those for later use. And you can see different types of things as you draw out and call out the different reports to see, okay, what was the completion rates, how many students reached the end of the video, where the students drop off, those types of things. And then impact by Instructure. So this is a fairly new acquisition that Instructure made probably about a year ago. But impact is really meant to be driving the digital transformation with all your learning tools, specifically though with Canvas. And so the benefit that impact brings, it is an additional add-on to licensing. So if a district chooses to leverage this, what they can expect with it is it will allow insight into how Canvas is being used. So you get access to analytics that will show certain engagement rates of certain functionality and materials within Canvas. If the district's really pushing hard to have a module or a blueprint be utilized inside a course framework, they're able to see the analytics behind that usage to see who's using it, how many educators are, who's not using it, where they need to focus efforts in supporting the expected usage there. It also provides kind of a pacing type of PD experience, that what you're able to do is if the district decides, hey, we really want our staff to be able to leverage Studio video, you can actually set up kind of a click path that helps navigate users through the usage of Studio, and we'll have call outs and dialog boxes that pop up that help drive the usage to the specific usage you're looking to do. And so not only are you able to see who's actually using the tools, but you're able to help guide, kind of like a guided tour. If you're used to that experience when you first sign up with a Netflix or something like that, you'll typically have a little guided tour that has call outs of, hey, click here to search for titles, or click here to look for this type of content. Same type of experience. However, it's customizable to your certain situation. So maybe you're not too keen on blueprints, but you really want to use Studio. You can then have those dialog boxes direct staff to using that certain functionality. Now, Canvas obviously does its thing, right? It's a huge tool, huge kind of an infrastructure that's now being utilized in all of Nevada, obviously, in a ton of schools nationwide. It was meant really to do this. What we're seeing here on the screen is it's a tool to have guaranteed viable curriculum, accessible, right? Equitable access to that curriculum, and guaranteeing that access to everybody who can have access to it online or inside their classroom. It's also meant to really support the strongest instructional practices that our district or our school want to support. Now, what we need to know is if that's working, right? And the way that we do that is through a process called assessment. And that's really the third bubble here. And that's what we want to talk about here, is knowing how Canvas is working is by looking at the successes we're seeing, or what our students' growth and proficiencies are on the particular materials that we're teaching. And so Instructure, if you don't know already, had acquired a tool called Mastery Connect back in 2019. And it was really to facilitate that assessment, but facilitate it in a way that we've kind of boiled down to what's called the ITS model, is we want to leverage assessment to identify student levels of understanding in real time, provide that analytic to teachers that are in the classroom doing those quick checks so they can see, hey, are my kids getting it or are they not? Then being able to use that data to target students for personalized intervention and personalized instruction, but then also use that data to self-evaluate our teaching practices, to self-evaluate if the instructional strategies that we have in place and if the curriculum that we have set up is achieving the goal or the expectations that we expect it to. And if not, where is those kind of deficiencies and where can we focus on those? And so that's how we look to leverage assessment here. And so that's what the tool of Mastery Connect is set up to do. Is it's supposed to be part, right? Assessment is part of our teaching and learning cycle. Why have that outside of where our teaching and learning is happening? And so what Mastery Connect is from a tool standpoint is it provides alignment to all Nevada core standards. It's also standards agnostic. So if you're wanting to do custom standards or you're looking at AP standards or next gen science and social studies standards, anything that you're wanting to track students' progress on, it facilitates that. And it leverages formative and benchmark assessment or interim assessments. You have the ability to create, deliver, manage, deploy any of those either as kind of a one-off, ad hoc type of an experience, truly formative, or you can do common formatives, common interims. It facilitates all of that, provides valid and reliable item banks and assessments and content. And the whole purpose is to have a data-driven instructional model, right? Being able to use data to drive our instruction. And then the cherry on top is the integration with Canvas. So just real quick, we'll kind of tease out some of the experiences or some of the reports that you'll see by leveraging a tool like Mastery Connect. This is a teacher's view. It's a real simplified type of a view that we're looking at here. But inside of a Canvas course, the teacher can access what's called a Mastery Tracker. And that's what this tracker is. This tracker, as you can tell, gives us the entire student roster inside my class or inside my course. And then along the top are those learning standards or those learning objectives that we're working on within this course. The data down below that we're seeing in green, yellow, red is our current proficiency. Now that's all customizable. We allow users, districts and schools to customize what that proficiency is, how proficiency is calculated, and then what the scale is. If you're using a 4-point versus a 3-point scale, we facilitate that. But the idea behind this is to serve as a dashboard to a teacher, not just an admin, not just a curriculum instructor, somebody that's in the classroom that's teaching these standards, give them access to data that's easy to see, that's easy to take action upon. And so we're seeing here, you can see all students' proficiency levels as they currently stand. As we work with those students and as we deploy checks for understanding, or we're doing activities with them, or we're having conversations with them, we can change their current proficiency based on those activities that are happening with them. But the point of this is for the teacher to be able to see where they need to spend time, how kids are progressing on these learning standards, and who specifically they need to target for that intervention and for that instruction. There's also student level types of views with that. So if you wanted to give students or even students' parents access to be able to see how their students are progressing on the specific learning objectives or targets or standards that are being taught within your class, they can access this in real time, just like teachers can, to be able to see what are those learning standards first and foremost, what is expected of me as the learner to learn on this standard. As you can see here, we have the full-blown standard description, but then teaching staff have the ability to customize those learning standards as they see fit. So we have a lot of people will put I can statements or specific learning objectives there. And then the evidence is attached to that that's showing, hey, you're at a mastery level understanding. Here's why. Here's all the activities that we did. Here's the checks for understanding. Here's your interim formative assessments. Here's those things or materials or pieces of evidence that we've used to determine you're in this proficiency level on that particular learning standard. So that's part of the student view. That's also the same as a parent view. And then there's also administrative types of perspectives. So all the work that teachers are doing in the classroom obviously rolls up to the administrator side, either at the school level or district level, based on your role and based on your level of administration. You're going to see the data that's pertinent to you. You're not going to see cross school data or cross district data, obviously. But if you wanted to be able to keep track of your progress at either like a district level, like we're seeing here to the left, of what our current progress looks like on math standards, we've got 94.4% of standards have yet to be assessed. But of what has been assessed, we're at a 37.6% mastery rate in all of math. I then can see the data disaggregated by site. And then we can even drill down. I can drill down as deep as into an individual student, or we can see how our current progress is on specific learning standards. So if a district or school has done work in identifying power standards or priority standards, being able to see how the progress is of those standards in real time has been really crucial for driving proficiency and a growth mindset. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to go back. So before we move on to the next piece of analytics, any questions so far from the group?
I have a question.
For it.
A few slides back, I saw you had the NVAX standards listed.
Yep.
Right there. Yay. Okay. I am new to Canvas also. I would like to build a really awesome Canvas. But because I'm an art teacher, what I have found, and mind you, I have not done a lot of training. I've had, you know, I'd say I'd had maybe 2 to 4 hours that includes like Nearpod and an actual fine arts person helping me get my resources built up. Does Canvas help teachers put something together with all of that stuff you were talking about aligned for the aligned curriculum to do all those things? Or is that just for English language arts and math and science?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, you can definitely, I mean, there's structures. I guess it depends on how your district is organizing the material and organizing your content right now, because you can create blueprint courses inside of Canvas. You can organize those blueprints by term or semesters and have those in a one-to-one relationship with your scope and sequence, for example.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I look at this as I'm building a car. Okay. I'm building a car. My Canvas is my vehicle, right? And I have to know exactly how to run that car myself and what I expect the students to know and demonstrate, okay? I also am gonna need to have it built in such a way that if I have a substitute teacher, they can get in that car and they can drive it for that time period of working with the students. So I'm asking, what is the best way for a teacher, an art teacher, to get help with this process? So is this a professional development thing that is just an ongoing process and I just keep doing training, keep asking for help and do it that way?
Yeah, I would say, not to make it sound bad, but yes, it is part of professional development, right? Because the tools are there. It's just how you want to use them or what the expectation is to use those. And so if it is a question of, okay, hey, I know that I have access to this, we can do it. I just want to know the best practices, or how do we do that? Or how do I build capacity at my level? To do that. We do have, absolutely, professional development's the key to do that and to facilitate that. And Instructure obviously offers professional development, a wide array there. If it's, you know, something we want to do as like a 90-minute session and we invite 50 educators to do it, we can facilitate that. I think. Now, which district are you part of?
Clark County.
Okay. So Clark County might have some professional development that's already planned, that's already scheduled out, or that they have PD that hasn't been used yet, for example. but that would definitely be, you should have a Canvas LMS administrator or somebody that's over Canvas for your building or for your site
Okay.
that you can ping about with that. But they would be your best resource to figure out, okay, what's the expectation? What do we have access to do that? There's also the Canvas community, and there's an online professional development portal that you can go to and watch asynchronous videos of how to facilitate the functionality, so you can kind of learn at your own pace. There's a lot of resources to your disposal, basically. And it's just, I would get with that person that's been coined or deemed with that responsibility to help guide you with that usage. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. And then there's different tools, right, that Canvas supports. That's the beauty of an LMS, is that it allows you to take things like the Nearpod or HMH or iReady or, all these different tools and organize them into one instance, so that you're not having to go off to a different site or open up different tabs or go into these different cookies. Be able to pull that in and organize the material in the structure that you need it to, so that if you do, heaven forbid, get hit by a bus, somebody can step in and just pick up where you left off and follow your same cadence. But then there's tools like a Mastery Connect that are intended to be that kind of data insights, to say, okay, we've been teaching this, these kids have engaged with the discovery education video, or I don't know about arts, maybe we've watched YouTube videos and things like that, right? And now we give a quick check for understanding or a quick assessment to see, okay, today's material covered this specific learning objective. Now I want to see, engage where you're at. That's something where a Mastery Connect would be kind of that data point that gives us that one little check on the timeline of a kid's learning, to say, hey, where are they at right now? And then be able to provide you that data to then facilitate that student's learning or differentiate their learning based on where they're at. So there's a lot of tools, not to confuse you. Okay, beautiful. And so that's what Mastery Connect's intended to do, right? Is it's a tool that's obviously standards based. It leverages the practice of assessment. It can be, I think I said this, it can be, your more common interim types of assessments, or more of those higher stake types of assessments. But really what the power is in that formative approach of being able to have tools to differentiate assessment based on every single individual learner. And I don't go into details with this. If you're interested to hear more about Mastery Connect, please, you can hit us up, let us know, and we'll be able to help you out. But it's really helping facilitate this change that we're seeing in the market of, instead of teaching kids to be compliant learners, let's really help them to be competent learners. And so it's really to build that competency in the learning skills, instead of just training them to perform well on a specific test, being able to train them on the specific skills so they can demonstrate those skills, and then giving teachers the tools to highlight or quantify those skills. Because we have some kids that are great test takers, they perform really well on a standardized test, but then we have kids that are more hands-on learners, and it is an observation or it is a conversation that a teacher's having with the kid where they see, oh, they understand this concept or principle. Why are we not letting that data be part of the kid's journey and part of the kid's learning experience? Though it's those types of situations and those types of quote unquote assessments that Mastery Connect really facilitates and supports that work of formative assessment and competency-based assessing. And so if you're interested to hear more about that, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to connect with anybody to show that off and talk more about those specific features. But that's a good segue, speaking of data, into the Elevate K-12 data analytics. This also is a newer tool to the Instructure family of companies. But what this platform does, or what this tool does, is it allows us as an organization to take disparate data from all of our different disparate sources, from our SIS, from Canvas, from our assessment tools, from our social emotional tools, from our behavioral tracking tools, from, I mean, you name it. Take data that's in all these different areas, to pull it into one space or to one hub, and then visualize that data in a single dashboard that we can drill down into data, that we can customize the data to really look at those individual targets that we're wanting to see at either a district or a school level. And so just like Mastery Connect, I'll just kind of share a couple screenshots here of what this looks like. But why Elevate? So all of our customers are in the United States. We're not in international waters with this. It's all US customers, it's US based. There's absolutely no coding or SQL skills needed to explore the data. That's a huge differentiator between this and something like a Tableau or a PowerBook BI, is you do not need to have a DBA on retainer or on your staff in order to leverage this tool and leverage the insights that are here. We have hundreds and hundreds of pre-built dashboards and pre-built visualizations that can be used. And then it's really easy to customize. It's basically just using filters to be able to filter out the data and change it the way that it looks. There's no need to be a coder. And then it's also an award-winning. It's the choice of California's K-12 CTOs at the CITE organization. We are fully vetted and embedded with the EdFi Alliance. And if you're not familiar with EdFi is an open source API that allows technologies to write to this one specific API, and it eliminates the need for expensive custom services and customizations and custom data upkeep and manual upkeep of that connection. And then obviously it's part of Instructure. So it's, holds with it the Instructure's reputation for K-12 data excellence, and the fact that we have more than 30 million users supported nationwide with Instructure. The fact that we've never had a data breach or never had any issues around security with data is a huge testament to how we value that. And so real quick, district level dashboards here. This is just, again, a screenshot of what's potential with using K-12 data analytics. But as you can see here, there's a couple different charts that I've kind of pulled in from disparate sources. We've got some chronic absenteeism showing up here on a chart. We're able to set what those metrics are and what the proficiency bands are with that. SEL indicators, Zoom attendance, behavioral incidences, program enrollment trends, students with absentee days, students missing specific content in specific areas with ELA, math, SAT rates. I mean, basically you can, like I said, create customized dashboards that look at and pull out and visualize data for what you're constantly needing to look at. So you can customize this, you can drill down into a specific chart. If you're seeing these incident counts, for example, you're able to go and explore that even further to see what those incidents were, who those kids were, where they were located, any and all information that you need to look at from a district level, you're able to pull that out. And then there's obviously functionality that you can do with this. You can send specific dashboards to people, either as kind of a one-off. You can share that so that they have access to it 24/7. And it's all role-based. So if you're a district administrator, you're going to be able to obviously see district level content. If you're a teacher, you're going to be able to see teacher specific content. You're not going to see your peers' data. You're only going to see data pertinent to those kids that are in your class or that are assigned to you, but you're able to obviously share and collaborate around that data there. You can also employ what we call watch lists, which typically we see watch lists will be used as early warning indicators, right? You can set up predefined criteria that once kids meet that specific criteria, they're contributing or they're part of or included into this watch list that calls them out directly and highlights them directly for you, either at a teacher level, a school level, or a district level, so that you can really focus in on those kids that are meeting that certain criteria, either for better or for worse, right? Maybe you just want to highlight on kids that are succeeding and you've got certain KPI metrics that you have determined are success-driven KPIs. You can set those parameters up and highlight those students. Or like in this one, I'm just looking at sixth graders that are non-proficient on fifth grade summative assessments. And then I've got the details as to how I configured this. So I've got a performance level that is more than 1. It's from the previous school year, that they're below standard, that it was a smarter balanced summative for math, state assessment. It's using mathematics scores to be able to pull this. So based on those customized filters, here's all the kids. It looks like I've got 1,700 kids in our district that meet that criteria. And now I can focus in and hone in on those specific students and see other data points that are called out from those students specifically, like attendance and discipline and grades and courses. Again, all of this is customizable to what we want to see and what's included here. And then as I want to look at a specific student, I can see where they fall on a distribution curve to their peers that are either in the same ethnicity or the same school or the same demographic or whatever I want to see. I'm able to see that just at a click of a button. What you can also do is have access to student scorecards. So student specific, you're able to look at an overall student's performance and all the data sources that are contributing to them. Not just assessments, not just assignments, not just Canvas, not just what's in their SIS, not just what's in the SEL tools that you're using, everything all encompassing. It's kind of like a baseball card of a kid. It lets you see what the high level statistics are. And then as you scroll down, you're able to drill down into the more specifics of them. But the whole point of that is, how do we get data into students or to teachers' hands where they can really make a change? And so I wanted to kind of end, I know we're going to end a little bit early here, but we went over a lot of information, right? A lot of functionality, a lot of charts, a lot of colors, a lot of things that may have piqued your interest of like, oh, what is that? Oh, I want to hear more about that. There's a ton of functionality that Instructure provides across the platform of tools that we offer. But there's a singular why into all those tools. And it's really to support you as educators, give you the best tools and resources that you need to do your job, to be most effective and most efficient with your job, to impact these little learners, to impact our kids, because that's what we're all in this together for, is to improve the future of our country and the future of these kids that are in our classrooms every single day. And if we're not using these tools to the extent that they can be done, we have a moral obligation to use them, right? If we're not using them correctly, then we're not doing ourselves or these kids a service. And so the why behind it is, as a company, we want to help support you. We want to be part of it. I specifically am not man enough to be in a classroom, right? Like I already told you, I've got 5 kids. I can't even imagine sitting in a room with just my 5 kids all day, yet alone 40 other kids, right? That you teachers have to deal with every single day. And so I just wanted to end with this quick, cool little video that Instructure put out that kind of details the why behind what it is that we do with the tools that we support. And so if you'll bear with me, I'm going to get this video started, but it's a real nice little video here.
Every teacher wants to change the world. It's why you plan. It's why you stand up there every day. Why you try to reach every single student in your class. But how do you show them that learning is a journey? How do you determine how to best meet each student where they are? You check. Without the fear and anxiety so often associated with a test, but in a way that feels safe and familiar. So you get a clear picture and better understanding of your entire class. Who's getting it? And who may need a little extra help. But once you see the learning needs of each individual student, you can build a plan personally for them. You can send messages. Engage those around them to provide support. Give encouragement in the face of frustration. You can devote that little bit of extra time. Focus on the small things, those foundational pieces they need to truly succeed. And when all those elements finally come together, you can inspire those aha moments. And suddenly this thing that was intimidating becomes fun and exciting and empowering. And as unlikely as it once seemed, perseverance begins to turn into passion. that's when you trust. You trust the process. You trust your skill and instincts as an educator. You trust your student and all their hard work. You trust that everybody's effort and commitment, all those hours of devotion really did make a difference. Because when it does, there's nothing like it. It's the realization that what you do matters, that you had an impact, taught more than a lesson. And that's something that will be with them for the rest of their life. And while you may never see the doors their passion opens, you can know that you did achieve your goal. You did change the world. You changed theirs.
All right. So again, thank you all so much for joining. Like I said, I know we went over a lot. There's a lot of pieces of information there. I know this is going to be recorded, but just from one dad to you educators, try not to get emotional. Thank you for what you guys do. Sorry, that gets me because I have a little kid that's 12 years old. She was on an IEP when the pandemic hit, was force-fed the same material as all her peers, and was not being differentiated for in her learning until they got back to school. So every time I see that video, I get emotional because I put on my dad hat and I see my little girl. But what you guys do matters. And we really do, from Instructure, we really do appreciate you. We appreciate the battles that you're taking every single day and what you're doing in the classroom. And we just want to help support you. And so with any of these tools, with any of this functionality, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate letting Kathy know. Please don't hesitate shooting a message to us. We want to make sure that you have the capacity at your level to be able to leverage these the most effective that you can and be as effective as educators as we know you can be and how awesome you are. So again, appreciate you all so much. And thank you so much for the time and for joining today.
Thank
Kathy,
you,
I'll let you
Casey.
take over.
That was awesome. I had to like shut my camera off to dry my eyes.
Well, yeah, here I am, the idiot that's choking up on this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys, if you have questions, Canvas, just, contact us. Here I'm putting in the session title and I'm putting in the attendance form. You can fill out the session evaluation by going back to the going back into Canvas and under session 4, if you go down to room 11, where it says Canvas updates and more, there is a session evaluation link for there. I could probably pull that up for you too. But Casey, I appreciate you. I got to meet Casey about a month or so ago. We were talking about how we want to change Nevada and how we want to make this state #1 with you guys using Canvas and supporting you and giving you all the tools that you need statewide and all of our schools and our charters and our districts everywhere in Nevada. So, and that partnership with Instructure is very important. It chokes me up. Casey, I can't believe you did that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thanks guys for attending, and I'm going to put my email in the chat area. If you guys need anything with Canvas, you can email me. If you have any questions about trainings that you would like, the state is dedicated to helping you with that. And I gave the evaluation link. Let me find that. Hold on one second. Let me find that evaluation link. This is room 11. Here you go. Here's the evaluation link. Remember, make sure you got the attendance link, and you guys use Canvas. It's a great tool. I've just seen, like Casey said, he saw amazing things. I've seen so many amazing things happen with it. I've taught at Nevada Learning Academy for about 5 years and saw just some really cool things. The differentiation of learning, it does matter. it does make an impact. And we're here to support you. So please let us know. And that's it. If you have any other questions, we'll stick around and you can talk with us in the chat area. Otherwise, session 5 is being canceled. So there is no session 5 in this room. So please go back to the schedule page. I'll even be good enough and give you guys a link to that schedule page. And
Canvas updates.
look for another session. Anybody have any questions?
Is this Canvas updates?
This is Canvas updates. Yeah, Canvas updates and more.
Okay, thank you.
And then just so everybody's aware, I did put my email in the chat as well. So if you have specific, asks or anything, you can always send it to me. I'll get you pointed in the right direction when it comes to getting you support on anything Canvas related for sure.
Yeah, I really would be interested in more about that mastery grade book. I use Canvas
Mhm.
for all my classes. I love it.
Nice.
And I really, really want to know more about this that mastery grade book, because that would really help some of my kids, because they do what most kids do. They take the test, so they do the the assignment and they move on.
Yep.
Yeah, they might got, oh, I got a 40. No, that's not good. I got it. No, that's, and it's like, no, you need to go back and we need to try it again. And we need to, and they just take it once and they move on.
Yep. Yep. No, it's the way that we all probably went to school was, hey, you get 1,000 points possible this term. And if you miss a test, just bring in some Kleenexes and we'll make up 100 points for the test. Right. But that didn't help train us for life. And so that's what the benefit of this whole proficiency-based and competency-based learning model that's really sweeping the country is, hey, let's get away from just getting our kids used to being compliant. Let's really focus in on that competence and make sure and ensure that they have those skills that they're going to need when they are faced with tougher challenges, not just in school, but in life, that they can go through those appropriate processes and procedures to do what they need to do to be successful. And so that's part of the tools we offer, right? Is being able to quantify that so to help drive you in doing your work and being effective with them and knowing where they're at, every single kid, because they need it, right? And that's where I'm so happy of